I'm sometimes, I'm sometimes a very dumb boy. I'm sometimes a very dumb boy. I'm sometimes a very dumb boy who doesn't know how to do tech. Hi. So I am officially banned off of Reddit. If you criticize Zionists or say bad things about Zionists or make fun of Zionists on Reddit, you'll probably be banned. And it happened like it was automated. It was 100% just AI. Like I posted my comment and it was just like, you're banned. That was it. So congratulations, you live in a fascist country taken over by fascists. It won't be too... I've said it over and over, guys. I've said it over and over again. It won't be too much longer until I'm banned off this platform. It won't be too much longer until they're shutting down Discords. It won't be too much longer. Like, these people are Nazis. We have been taken over by Nazis. It will not be too much longer now. Like, it's happening. It's happening. That, like, this is the first wave of Nazism, of like open fascism and Nazism in this country. Second wave will be worse. And the third wave will just be outrageous. Like, how many times have I said it? How many times, right? Should any of these videos survive, people will look back on me and be like, oh yeah, this guy got it right. This guy knew what was going on. Like, wait until it's all done publicly. Like, wait until, like, literally somebody will be like... The person who asks, hey, are you banning people on the internet, will be punished publicly. Just like, wait for that. So in the interim, here we are trying to live our lives. Wednesdays is when I receive my Odd Bunch order. I don't have a sponsorship or anything with Odd Bunch, but it's like the first time in my life that I'm like using a service or a product that I'm like, oh, I actually need to tell everybody about this. If you go to oddbunch.ca, it is a service where, hey, did you know that like 40 to 50% of the food in Canada gets thrown into the garbage bin? Did you know that? That of the food that gets produced, half of it is just waste. We just throw it away. Because we're not an intelligent group of people. Like, we're run by these psychopathic, narcissistic capitalists who want to price gouge you as much as possible. And so what they do is they create a false scarcity, right? By throwing away half the food. Because they did a whole bunch of number crunching and they went, oh, if we actually give people the amount of food we're capable of producing, then we'll make slightly less profits. We'll only make $1 billion instead of $2 billion. And so we'll throw away half the food and make twice as much money. And so a group of people went, that's psychotic. And they're just going directly to farmers. And they're just saying, hey, you know how you have to throw away half the stuff you produce because the society is owned and taken over by narcissistic, psychopathic capitalists? How about instead you sell that produce to me at a reduced rate, because you're just going to throw it away anyway, and then I'll deliver it to people's doors. And so for $20 today, what did I get for today? I got a head of romaine lettuce, a box of... a really nice box of like cherry tomatoes, 5 onions, 5 potatoes, 5 apples, 3 pears, another thing of cilantro, an avocado, 2 avocados, and the avocados, as we all know, if I'm going to make avocado toast, guys, and I'll be living like a prince, and a squash. And for like $24, it's just delivered right to my door. Like, it's reducing my food costs significantly. Like, yesterday I went out to McDonald's. I was just out and about, and I thought to myself, as a treat, I'll go get some McDonald's. And for $20, you get like a quarter pounder meal. So you get like these shitty ass limp fries that suck now. You get like a plastic version of like a parody burger, right? It would be considered a burger to somebody who's never actually eaten a burger in their life. And like a thing of Coke probably cost them like 14 cents to produce, to like shit out of the like burger machine. And I spent $20 on that. So $20 for like a fake meal at McDonald's that is not going to help me at all in my life, versus $24 for like a whole box of produce that I could just chop up, throw into a pot, put some salt in it, make a stew, make a soup, and it'll feed me for the whole week. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, what are we doing? Like, the whole thing that we're doing is just absurd. Like, the more I interact and the more I dig into the nuts and bolts of what this system looks like, the more I'm just like, hey, we should just let people have food. Like, we're producing so much of it that we should just let people have it. But who will make any money? I don't care. I don't care. Like, I genuinely do not care if some guy makes an extra 100 bagillion trillion bazollars. It's like this monopoly funny money we've based our entire economy on, and meanwhile we're throwing the actual assets that we actually produced actually in the garbage. Like, we are not intelligent. We don't have a brain. We don't have a brain at all. Anemone, good to see you. Joe, good to see you. The True Democratic North and Austin, good to see you guys. Joe writes, yes, I learned that evening years ago when I worked in a school cafeteria. It made me sick. They'd let some kids go hungry because that's the system. Waka waka. Wasting tons of perfectly good food every day. 'Cause money. 'Cause money. But who will make the money? Sure, children will go starving, but who will make the money? If those kids didn't want to starve, they shouldn't have been born. It's not my responsibility to feed those children. Please. My wealth is my own creation. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Like, we I used to say, like, we cannot be this dumb, but we can. Like, we can be this dumb. Like, we're not a smart people. Like, we're really not. Like, we put on these red hats and say things like America first and make America great again, and then we're like, but not that way. No, you can't feed people. You can't give people housing. They need to earn it. They gotta earn it. Who are they earning it from? Pedophiles and rapists and narcissistic psychopaths, obviously, who got their property and wealth because their dad gave it to them. This guy. Like, I can't imagine why your society is failing. I can't imagine why you just keep electing the absolute worst possible version of what you would consider a leader to be. I can't imagine how that's happening. We completely destroyed the Department of Education and everyone's a dumbass. What? Like, okay. I just can't take, I don't know. I'm just in this mood where I can't take it seriously anymore. Like, I cannot take it seriously anymore. Like, would if someone walked around and said, like, hey, vote for me, I'll lower your rent and lower prices, I don't think people would vote for that guy. Like, if he was just like, hey, we could make everybody's lives better, it'd be really easy. Like, I just don't think anybody would actually vote for that guy. Maybe I'll start doing it. Be the change I want to see in the world. I wish there was an ML dating app. Speaking of dumbasses, Benjamin Netanyahu tried to dispel viral rumors of his death. Some social media users aren't convinced. So there's this conspiracy theory going around, and I love it, right? I love it. that Benjamin Netanyahu is dead, and they're using AI imagery and AI videos to produce videos of him pretending to be alive. I really like this. First of all, I love conspiracy theories in general. I think that they're great. They're a lot of fun. And Ditto, you're absolutely right over on Twitch. Who needs smart people when we have AI? Yeah, it's like Jordan Peterson, right? Like the dumb person, smart person, right? If you're a moron, you think Peterson is a genius, and if you're a moron, you think AI is smart. Like, Content, good to see you. New day off. I had lentils and steak today. Cleaned the house. Productive day. Good for you, my man. I did my laundry today and made some food. So I also feel like I had a relatively productive day. One of these days, people will genuinely be like, oh yeah, I had a really productive day. I like meditated on the beach and played some volleyball and like hung out with my friends. It was really productive. Like that'll be the day. That'll be a beautiful day for all of us. Benjamin Netanyahu's death conspiracy. I really love it. I'm bought in. I'm completely bought in. I think that Benjamin Netanyahu is dead, right? I think that he got killed by the Iranians and that they're refusing to admit it because that's kind of the end of the war, right? Like, that's like a big blow to the war effort for the Israelis. Not to mention the fact that it would create, like, internal turmoil on a leadership level. Like, Israel is fairly fractured within, right? Like, on the lead up to even the Gaza genocide, the October 7th, right? There were, like, coups happening and big protests in the streets and, like, all kinds of fracas nonsense happening in Israel that nobody actually talks about, because why would they ever want to tell you what the leadership is actually doing? Deto writes, have you seen this high school professor Jiang? Cavernacle called him the Jordan Peterson for conspiracy brain people. You'd love him. I have seen that guy around. You know what I don't like about him is that he's not outlandish enough. I think that's why I don't care about him. Right? Like, here's what I like to see. Right? I like to see, like, the John Mearsheimers and the Douglas MacArthurs and the Scott Ritters, the Chris Hedges, right? I like to see people who are like, here's facts, here's the reality, here's what you're seeing, here's your eyes, bear witness to the truth. And it's like, oh, okay, like, these guys. And then I want the other guys who are just like, aliens are sending brain scans into our brains to make us perceive a reality that is separate from the reality that we know, and that's going to bring about the return of Jesus Christ. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Both of these guys I'm going to spend some time listening to, because they're both phenomenally interesting to me. But Zhang is like kind of in the middle, where he's like, he's not quite, like, he uses a bit of this, but he doesn't go, like, far enough for me to be interested, you know? So he's just kind of a guy being like, I think it's going to go down like this. And he essentially does what, like, John Mearsheimer does, but farther down the pipe, right? Where he's making predictions about what will occur. John Mearsheimer makes predictions about what will occur, but it's essentially, like, the next thing. Whereas this Yang guy is like, in 2 years' time. And I'm like, probably not. And I bet you if somebody actually sat down and did like a record of like, how often was this guy right? Probably not. Like, probably not, right? And my big rule is that once people are wrong, like once you see that they are wrong, you just stop listening to them, right? Unless they're like, "Oop, I got that one wrong. Here's how I got it wrong. Here's why I got it wrong." And so in the future, if they're doing that, that's fine. I just don't see a lot out of that. Like, he just seems like a huckster. That's really it. He just seems like he's a huckster. So why spend any time? The Huckabee Netanyahu video is fake. I think the one in the coffee shop, one is totally fake. And the thing that finally convinced me that it actually like people are like, for those of you who don't know, Netanyahu does a video of him in a coffee shop, like, and he's drinking like a coffee and he's like talking to people and all this kind of stuff. And people like really hyper focus on the moment where he puts his hand in his pocket and the pocket does like this weird, very AI looking like fix him up. And people will also focus on like the cash register, which has the wrong date on it, and it's dated like 2024. And I'm like, okay, a little fold of the pocket could act in a strange way, right? Like, that's fine. Like, the way your brain works, your brain is a bias confirmation machine. It's trying to confirm biases constantly, right? It wants to look at the world and see what you believe reflected back into it, right? So it constantly does that. So if you want to believe that that's AI, you will, and you'll see it that way. And like, I'm like, the cash register, okay, like the wrong date. Okay, so their system's out of date, right? Like, it's not very convincing. What is convincing is that coffee shop has been closed. Like, that coffee shop's been closed for a long time. Why? Because there's a war on. Right? And like, so maybe they brought in a bunch of fake like actors to pretend like they're giving Netanyahu a cup of coffee, and they like set the stage in order. So it's like a step down from AI generation. It's like another version of Wag the Dog, right? It's just we're setting this scene to have Netanyahu. But if they were going to do that, why not just have him do a press conference? Like that's the big thing that sets me into, like, do you have any idea how easy this would be to dispel? Do you have any idea how simple it would be for Benjamin Netanyahu to dispel this? He could hold a press conference and stand in front of a bunch of journalists and be like, "Hello, I'm alive." But instead of that, they keep releasing these like jokey joke videos where like Benjamin Netanyahu is walking around with Mike Huckabee, and they're like, "Can you believe that people think this? Ho ho ho." And like, they keep responding to the allegations. That's also very suspicious, right? It's very suspicious that instead of just going, "Okay, whatever, press conference, hi, I'm Benjamin Netanyahu, serious question time. Serious questions. I'm a serious person. I'm here to answer serious questions." Instead of that, we're getting these like jokey joke videos where Benjamin Netanyahu is standing around being like, "Haha, I can't believe that people think that this is AI. Haha." It's like, I just think that what we're seeing is a group of people who have no self-awareness whatsoever and don't actually understand how to talk to humans, trying to run a con. Like, hold a press conference, bro. That would just do it. That'd be the end of it. Hold a press conference. Have journalists ask you questions, answer those questions. Right? Why won't he do it? Because he's dead. Because he's dead, and he's been dead for weeks. And just watch. He'll do a press conference today. Schwan Buchanan, Satan Yahoo is either seriously injured or he's dead. Let's be real. Matthew Bouchard, hi everyone. Hello. I mean, given how he hasn't been seen in forever, and that the videos they're releasing are like this AI slop. The other part that's fairly convincing is that anytime they take the videos that they make and they put them through like an AI detector, the AI detector is like 98% chance that's AI. Like the it's just and it's just, I've said it like 4 times, but I'm going to say it one more time. It would be so easy to dispel this. Like, he clearly wants to. He keeps releasing videos about it, right? But every time he releases a video, it just makes it worse. So it's like a Columbo kind of situation, where Columbo is like, I don't know, I'm suspicious. And then the guy goes to do something to try to cut Columbo off of the path, but Columbo saw him coming, and so he's there to like catch him in the act, and that just incriminates the guy further. And so there's this like step by step, like Columbo throws shade so the guy does something that makes him more suspicious, until finally there's like hard evidence and Columbo has him, and he like catches him in a noose in front of everybody, right? Like that's kind of what it looks like, right? Because if Netanyahu was actually alive and actually wanted to dispel this rumor, actually, he would hold a press conference. He's the president of Israel. Like, he could do that. It wouldn't actually be difficult for him to do. He could literally stand up and be like, I would like to do a press conference. And the entire society would go, yes, absolutely, 100%. Tell us when, tell us where, like, give us the details, we'll go there. Absolutely. For sure. Nope, not going to do that. Instead, we're going to have, like, a hokey conversation where we're walking down a hallway. Oh, hi, actual Senator Mike Huckabee, ambassador to America. This is a real video where we're really talking. Yeah. Like, brain manipulating aliens for Jesus, says Long Defiant. Exactly. Long Defiant writes, Andrewism did an evaluation of PJ. He wasn't impressed. I don't know who Andrewism is. Yeah, Peterson, like, if Peterson had stayed in his lane, I think that he could have had a fine career. I mean, he could have been like a really kind of like, I think people could have even respected him. Right? People could have been like, yeah, he's got conservative views and all. But like, I read 10 Rules for Life, and I listened to some of the basic stuff of just like, go clean your room, and you got to stand up for yourself, and you are the author of your fate, and you are the only person who can get out of your bed, and so you go down there and you go do it. You're the only person that's able to control your own life, and you should do it. And if that was all he was doing, I'd be like, yeah, great. But boy, is that not where he stayed? Oh, Long Defiant clarifies. yeah. My apologies, Long Defiant. PJ means Professor Jiang. JP equals Jordan Peterson. My bad. A little mix up there. Yeah, and you're right. So Andrewism, a person I don't know who this is, did an evaluation of Professor Jiang. He wasn't impressed. Yeah, the reason why Professor Jiang doesn't really impress me, I've seen some of his stuff, is that he just sounds like a guy in a bar. Like, he just sounds like a guy who has a map and is like, oh, there's this, then these things are gonna, and I'm like, maybe, like, sure. Like, if I was out at a bar and one of my drinking buddies was like, oh, there's all this stuff and that means that this is going to happen, and he had like a theory of where things are going to go, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, we're at a bar, right? But like, if I'm doing research or like listening to lectures or wanting to get a sense of what's going on in the world, he's just not a guy I'm going to listen to. I don't think he's particularly well credentialed. I don't find him to be particularly captivating or interesting. Like, he talks a lot about what might happen, And I think a lot of us need to focus more on what is happening. Like, he's a guy who, and I think he himself is like this. Like, I can't tell if he's a swindler or not, or if he actually believes his own hype. Because there are those guys, right? Those guys exist out there where they think this way, and this is who they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, like, who cares? Right? Everybody's got a theory about what's going to happen, and everybody's got an idea. And what's more interesting, and what we should definitely be paying more attention to, is what is happening. And Jiang doesn't really do that. He doesn't really tell us what is happening. He's kind of just like, in 300 years, this will unfold. And I'm like, okay, bro. Like, cool. Like, cool story. Maybe. Long Defiant writes, I think the Obama birth certificate saga taught the ruling classes that certain things don't matter and you can just distract the adversary with those things. Radio Halifax, Comrade Beekeeper, hello. Yeah, we'll be doing some more beekeeping soon. Oh, geez. Yeah, the weather is starting to turn. Yeah, I think the ruling class really figured out, well, Donald Trump figured out, we've seen this happen in real time, and I think the Iran war is starting to break this a little bit. The vengeance carries you a long way. Vengeance carries you a long, long way. And if you can harness people's sense of vengeance, if you can harness their desire for revenge, you can go a long, long way. Donald Trump has always been a force of vengeance. He was initially a reaction against the neocons in the Republican Party. He was their karma. He was the guy who stood up and said the Iraq war was a disaster and a disgrace and we should have never done it. And if you vote for me, we'll never do another war in the Middle East again. And because he's a grifter, right? Because he's a hack. Because he's just like a loser who will say whatever he needs to say in order to gain power, right? That's what he recognized, and he harnessed it. And it's literally taken like a full circle moment, right? Like, there are people who have voted for Donald Trump like 3 times. They have been ride or die with Donald Trump, and they've been willing to go along with everything. But this Iran war invasion is finally the moment where it's like come full circle on them, and they're literally looking at it being like, he just invaded the Middle East. That's the reason I supported him in the first place. The reason I became ride or die with this guy is because he stood up and said no more wars in the Middle East. And I was willing to go to bat for him. I was willing to go along with him with the drain the swamp shit. I was willing to go along with him with the stolen election thing. I'm willing to believe that there's like this whole organization, the deep state, who's working against him because they want to do more wars in the Middle East. And now he has power and he's deporting people. And he's like, of course, because he needs to. He's got to pull out a sword and slay his enemies. And he's got to fight and he's got to go against this kind of stuff so that we don't get any more wars in the Middle East. And now, like, after Obama, there was a lot of disillusionment amongst, like, educated white liberals, basically. There were a lot of people, and there's still quite a lot of people, especially with, like, rose-colored glasses and nostalgia glasses and hindsight glasses, being like, Obama was such a great president. What a great president Obama was. Wasn't Obama such a good president? You know, he would stand in front of us and say statesmanly stuff as he committed his genocides. Donald Trump's so gross about his genocides. He's like, oh, we'll just bomb him for fun. And when Obama did his bombing campaigns, he was like, we have to do this for American prosperity and the future of America. And it made me feel good. It made me feel good. Donald Trump makes me feel icky about it. And that's like white American liberals. And these white, but there's a subsection of white American liberals who like went along with Obama and then saw that he was a Republican who was doing everything the Republicans wanted because they're allies and they work together, who got really disillusioned and got like, wait a minute, this is not what we voted for and this isn't what I expected at all. I actually expected like anything, anybody to help anybody at all. Right? Wasn't your whole thing hope and change? Weren't you standing there being like, we need to do better than this? That was John F. Kennedy, an impression. But it's like, didn't we vote for something better than this? Isn't that what we wanted? And instead, we basically just got a far-right Republican in like a black mask, walking around being like, we're going to bail out the people who created the global financial economic meltdown. We're just going to vote for those guys. We're going to reward those guys for doing it. Right? We're going to call it a bailout, but really it was like, thanks for doing that. Here's your billions and billions of dollars in bailouts. We're gonna basically take a Republican bill, Romney Care, and turn that into an American healthcare system, which is essentially what leads to the Luigi Mangione moment, right? Thanks, Obama. And so you have all these like disillusioned white liberals, but like the worst thing a disillusioned white liberal is going to do is like complain about it and like join some like Trotskyist organization or something, right? And it's going to be like, that's it. That's basically what these disillusioned white liberals are going to do. It's just, I can't believe it. I'm not going to vote for these people. That's it. That's all you get. You just disillusioned like the yeehaw class, right? Like Donald Trump basically grabbed hold of like the yeehaw people in America, all the people with guns, the people who are listening to Kid Rock, non-ironically. Sven, good to see you over on Twitch. The people who are listening to Kid Rock non-ironically. The people who actually, like, seriously think a serious problem in their life is that there's trans people that exist, right? Who suddenly are, like, desperately interested in, like, women's fencing because there's a trans person involved in it. Who actually have an opinion about the Black Little Mermaid. Who actually, like, really care about these sorts of things. Those people. The yeehaw class. These guys are now going, Donald Trump betrayed us. I don't think you're going to see the same kind of reaction in disillusionment. You know, I don't think you're going to see the same kind of like, you know what we should do is we should go sit in a courtyard. We should occupy a park and sit in a park until they tell us to go, and then we won't. We won't go. We'll sit in the park and we'll say, we don't think that this system is fair, and we're going to sit here in the park until you make us leave. And, oh, you're making us leave? Okay, bye. Right? Like, that's essentially what happened. I don't think you're going to get the same thing out of the yeehaw class, man. I think the yeehaw class is going to look at one another and be like, oh, we're the idiots. Like, we've been dunked on yet again. Fell for it again award. The reason we got ride or die with this guy is because he said he was going to make America great, give us a bunch of jobs, we're going to make some money, and no more wars in the Middle East. Well, I'm poorer, my society looks shittier, and we're doing a war in the Middle East. Wonka walk without walk. I think we're going to see like a whole generation of Luigi Mangionis. I think it's just going to be like a Luigi Mangione festival. I think there's just going to be a festival of Mangionis. And they're just going to... and they're just going to pop out. Wild Child Jeff says, you can say it. The rednecks. Rednecks is old. That's old. That's old man speech. These guys don't have rednecks, right? The whole concept of like a redneck is that they're like a farmer, right? And they got their trucker hat and they got their thing and they got the redneck because the sun's been beating down on them. These guys don't have that shit going on anymore. They've got the aesthetic of redneck, but they're not rednecks. They're just yeehaws. They're just a bunch of yeehaws. Yeehaw! That's it. That's all they are, right? They don't actually have like values or a culture or a real society that they live in, right? They've just kind of got what got adopted, right? My dad or my grandpa acted in this way, and so therefore I do too. And to call them rednecks, I think is an insult to rednecks. Like, I think that like a proper dyed-in-the-wool redneck would have actually looked at Donald Trump and been like, nah, probably not. Like, so you think that some fancy dancy New York billionaire is going to help you out? Purr. No. These guys are yeehaws. Yeehaw! That's it. That's who they are. Yeah, they're the rednecks kids. Yeah. Yeah, redneck was also a workers' movement back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. I'd say hillbilly or yeehaw or something. The real reason why I think creating like a new phrase like a yeehaw is that like a lot of these guys are like aesthetically in that group, right? Like they've got the big truck that they don't need. Like they literally bought this big gas guzzling truck in the middle of a gas crisis so that they could drive around being like, I'm big and tough. Because and what's like crazy about it is that the yeehaw women are like, oh, look at his big truck. And so it's like it works. Like that's the part about it that's so like sad is that there's this psychotic corporation who looked out in the world and said, I bet we could sell these guys trucks that are bigger than World War II tanks, and they in the middle of like a gas crisis, and they'd buy it because they want to feel like big men and girls want to be like, oh, he's such a big man. And like, that's it. I bet we could do it. And they did. It worked completely. I mean, if you're gonna be driving around in like a cyber truck, right? Like, yeah, the year of Luigi never ended. I like the headcanon that says that Luigi Mangione is in the same prison cell as Maduro, because they are in the same facility. Luigi Mangione and Maduro are in the same facility. I just love the idea that they'll like indoctrinate a whole bunch of people into communism and Maoism. I think that would be great. That there'll be like this whole slew of people leaving that prison basically being communists now. The term got demeaned at some point. Redneck got demeaned at some point and then co-opted by white nationalists. Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes, right? Welcome to America, baby. If something is popular enough that everybody knows about it, the corporate power structure needs to either destroy it, Black Panthers, or co-opt it, the Ku Klux Klan, right? It goes one way or the other. Anemone writes, I had an unhealthy obsession with Luigi Mangione. You mean a healthy obsession, Anemone. I don't think that you could have an unhealthy obsession with Luigi Mangione. Vassend, good to see you, my man. Good to see you. So, like, the Iran war is still going. And hilariously, in a way that can only be... this headline, by the way, that I'm putting up on the screen, if you're just listening, it's the era of U.S. dominance and economic warfare is over. This comes from the Financial Times. Like, it's over, guys. Like, it's over. Like, this isn't like me being a far left, fringy, kooky commie being like, it's over, everybody. We're up. The end is nigh. Pay attention. Don't you see the signs? can't you see that I'm scrying the signs of and if you put the strings together, like it's the Financial Times is saying it. Like this is kind of what I'm saying about this Yang guy. Is that's exactly how the Yang guy would be. He'd be like, oh, if you look here and you put the and then I'll just come along and I just like show you the Financial Times, and I'm like, the capitalists themselves are saying that the end is over. It's over, guys. It's over. The most embarrassing moment for Donald Trump is that now he's like crying that other people won't help him with the Iran war that he started, right? Like that's so the best part at this moment. Like, I hate to be glib about it. Like, the people of Iran are suffering a great deal, and they don't need to. Like, this war simply didn't like compare the Iraq war to the Iran war, right? There is like a chart. There is like a pros cons list that you could look at and be like, okay, like Saddam Hussein was a CIA asset who the CIA used to overthrow the Iraqi power structure to gain access to the oil markets in Iraq. But then he starts kind of going rogue, invades Kuwait. The United States didn't want him to do that. And eventually they just kind of get to a point where they're like, you know, maybe we should just take this guy out. Like, maybe it would just be better for us if we got rid of Saddam. And I bet you if they were to do like a retrospective of the Saddam Hussein era in Iraq, I bet the CIA would say that their big mistake was allowing the average American to know who Saddam Hussein was. That to me, I think, is the takeaway for the CIA. That the CIA, because they're a demonic organization filled with just narcissistic, pedophilic lunatics, and the best of them are people who like whistleblow and bail ship, and then when they talk, you're kind of like, you're kind of a psycho too, though, bro. Like, this John Kiriakou guy who's around talking, like, listen to him talk. You're kind of like, you're kind of a psycho too, though, dude. Like, you have a moral position because he's the whistleblower about the torture program during the Bush administration. So it's like, oh, okay, like, you actually do have, like, there's a limit. But then you listen to him talk and you're just like, oh, yeah, I get why you were good in the CIA. Like, you're kind of just like a cold, calculated psycho. Cool. Cool, bro. And so for the CIA, like, their position is, like, they're not going to look at the Iraq war and be like, oh, we should not have done that. We shouldn't have gone in and we should not have done that. That's not going to be their position. Their position is going to be, you know, we probably shouldn't have let the average American know who Saddam Hussein was. That we should have kept the Iraq situation primarily faceless. And that the big takeaway, I think, for the CIA generally is like, yeah, we shouldn't let people know who Osama bin Laden is. We shouldn't let people know who these guys are at all. Like, no, you don't really know who Ayatollah Khamenei is. Like, nobody knows who these guys are. The only time they'll even tell you their names anymore is after they kill them. No, we promise we killed a very important person. His name was Ahmed Hakhalakh. And you'll immediately forget the name. And you'll be like, and if you're on side with the administration, you'll be like, yeah, we got one. Yeah, America, got him. And if you're not, you'll half of the people who are not with the administration will be like, well, at least they're doing something. Like, at least they're getting people. And then the other half will be like, oh, it's terrible. They're killing these guys whose names I won't remember. Like, you're not going to remember who any of these people are. The only people who will actually remember who any of these people are the people whose job it is to know. And that's it. And 99% of the society will go to those people and not believe what they have to say about anything. So it's like a crapshoot all the way down. It's just a crapshoot all the way down. But at least the Iraq War, there were like politics there that made it make sense in a way, right? Like, sure, the weapons of mass destruction lie, right? Fine. Like, that's obviously bullshit. But there is this like political litmus where it's like, oh, like Saddam Hussein is kind of not on our side anymore. He's going rogue. He's not listening to us anymore. And he is starting to move his own currency and his own asset base against the American dollar. Saddam Hussein was starting to trade in euros. And we can't really have that. It's pretty clear cut, pretty clean cut, the same logic they use to kill Gaddafi, right? Just like, here's a guy who's not working in our interests. Let's just get him. Destroy the country. Who gives a fuck? Right? We don't care about the country. We're interested in the oil. We're interested in the asset base, in the resource base. Iran is like, why did they do this? Like, and near as I can tell from any of the research that I've been doing and any of the looking around I've been doing, near as I can tell, I think that this was done because Israel and Saudi Arabia paid the Trump family. I think that's really what it actually does boil down to. That it doesn't make sense to do this politically. It doesn't make sense to do this like geographically. It doesn't make sense to do this economically. There's no justification for it that actually makes any sense, right? And there's no strategist. There's no strategy. I'm not seeing anybody anywhere at any level actually stand up and try to seriously explain what was the strategy behind this. What is the, like, what's the dominoes? Like, what's the effect that we're expecting to see here to make this make sense? For why this should be done, why this was important to do, what value were we hoping to get out of this? And nobody is actually standing up and even offering a narrative. They're not even trying to present a story. Like, at least the Bush administration tried to tell you a story. They have weapons of mass destruction, right? That's a story that we stopped believing because it's so phony and so false. I'm sure there's some gullible idiot somewhere in the world who's like, Iran's got the nukes. They got the weapons of mass destruction and they're crazy Muslims and we got to go in there and take care of those. Like, I'm sure those people exist. I shouldn't say some, like, one guy. Like, it's like literally 20% of the society, right? But, like, and so if they're not going to offer a narrative that actually makes any sense at all, and when they do offer any kind of narrative, it's immediately, like, obviously phony, like childishly phony. We're going to go in there and make sure they don't have nukes. That's literally what we've been doing with them for the last 20 years. Like the UN, the Obama administration, the Biden administration have literally been working through a framework specifically to do exactly that. And the Iranians were complying. The supreme leader that they were under was literally operating under an anti-nuke doctrine. Like, what are we doing here, champ? What are we doing? And so finally, when you sift through all of their obvious, overt, childish, baby-brained lies, and you try to figure out, okay, well, why did this happen at all? What was the justification that does actually make any kind of sense? You got to remember, right? Donald Trump is a narcissistic psychopath. He doesn't care about any of this. He doesn't care about helping anybody. He doesn't care about the idea of America. He doesn't care about you, certainly. He doesn't care about the concept of the future of like America first. Who gives a shit, right? Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump. And so I'm basically landing on the point that Donald Trump got bought off. Like that. That's it. That and he got bought off cheap. Right? That like the Israelis and the Saudis were like, hey, we'll give your family a few $1 billion. Pull the trigger on this. Start dropping bombs. And Donald Trump was like, sure. I don't give a fuck. And that's really actually what we're seeing. It's really actually what we're seeing. And that the Trump family is going to walk away from this war with positions in Saudi Arabia and positions in whatever's left of Israel, and a few $1 billion richer. And we're going to see the Middle East completely on fire. You're already seeing like what is it going to be, $200 a barrel for oil? Like we're already seeing like 120, 130 going up to 140, right? And with people predicting it's going to go up to 200. And like, so the knock-on effects throughout the global economy, it's going to be ruinous. It's just going to sweep through the global economy and destroy. And like, imagine being in computing right now and being like, $200 a barrel for oil is like the end of entire companies. It's just going to sweep through entire companies and just go and lay waste to them. Oil touches everything, right? It's used for transportation. It's used in polymers. It's used in plastics. It's used in literally everything. And the price is going to double. And he did it because he wanted some more money. And if you want to get into like the dark humanities of it, it's like, yeah, he's a child rapist, right? Like he gets off on raping children. So why wouldn't he want to do this? Right? Like he obviously gets off on inflicting suffering on other people. And so this is just him inflicting suffering on people in like the largest scale way possible. And he's going to get away with it. Right? Like that's the best part from his perspective, is that he's going to be able to kill like thousands and thousands of people. He's got blood on his hands. He knows that he's completely responsible for the destruction of Iranian infrastructure. Why do you think they went after a girls' school right away? Like one of the first targets that they hit, that they double tapped, was this girls' school. Why do you think they did that? It's so Donald Trump can get an erection. Like that's it. It's so that he can like come hard. And he's just going to completely walk away from it. He's going to completely get away with it. No one's going to even charge him with anything, right? There's not going to be any negative consequences for him personally, right? He's going to die in a golden hotel room surrounded by a bunch of prostitutes and like little children. Like that's what's going to happen to him. And so why shouldn't he do it? Right? Like when you have a system that defends and protects Donald Trump and the type of people who are like Donald Trump, this is what you get. And it's just going to keep happening, by the way. Like, this is just like the first wave. This is the first wave of like the Donald Trump types. That Donald Trump is the guy who just kind of opened the door, and now they're all going to walk on in. And we're just going to get more and more lunatics like this. And it's going to be on both sides. Like, Gavin Newsom is the exact same guy, as far as I'm concerned. Gavin Newsom just kind of understands that, well, my base needs people to seem competent and seem kind of aware. But Gavin Newsom is pro-genocide. Gavin Newsom is pro-war. Like, he's not gonna come in and be like aghast by any of the stuff that's going on in the military, right? He's gonna work with these guys, and he'll be a very competent leader, right? Like, that'll be it. And you'll have a whole group of blue megatypes being like, finally, somebody who understands that it's about looking good. Like, and then it won't be too much longer until we just get like the fashionistas coming out of like the Republican Party, and then you'll get like the real Nazis, right? Like, you'll have like the Versace Nazis. Like, yeah, the U.S. did not sign the Rome Statute, so no ICC for him anyway. Yeah, as if that was ever going to be a thing for America. Like, this era, like, it from my perspective, it's kind of refreshing, right? It's just refreshing that finally now we don't need to actually believe, like, anybody who's walking around talking about international law is a clown. Just like a clown person, and we finally get to say it. We finally get to be like, oh, you actually think there is such a thing as international law. That's cute. Like, that's super cute. Like, okay, bud, you go on and live in your fairy tale world. Ernst Thalmann. I don't know if I've ever seen you here before, bud. I think maybe. In any case, really, really good comment. Really good comment. West Virginia coal miners tied a red handkerchief around their necks so they wouldn't shoot each other during gunfights with the Pinkertons. That's how we got rednecks. They were Lift Union. Yeah, so I'm not going to call these yeehaws rednecks, right? Like, nothing they're doing is rooted at all in any of this, like, a pro-union, anti-Pinkerton like struggle and all this kind of stuff. Nah. Okay? Not I seek to disconnect the two. Like, they are not rednecks. They are a yeehaw class. Because that's it. Like, that's as far as they've thought. Like, the rednecks were at least fighting. Right? These yeehaws are just like, I can't believe it. And that's it. That's all we're getting. Rednecks versus Pinkertons. Yep. Trump, Dave Boss writes, Trump asking the NATO countries for help now. Yeah, it's cartoonish. It's just like cartoonish to the highest possible level. It's clown shoes upon clown shoes. Like, come bail me out. It's like Cartman behavior. Like, come bail me out of the problem I created. Oh man. It would be very poetic if Netanyahu was actually dead. It'd be so poetic. Just like, started a war, immediately died. Long Defiant writes, the girls' school was to signal commitment and burn U.S. escape routes. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one way of sort of looking at it. I choose to look at it that they like to torture and murder little girls. Like, I mean, I think that's pretty well established at this point, right? Like, we've got these Epstein files, and the Epstein files they've released, by the way, like, they've only released what, like a third of them or or half of them. You got to think that the other half is just like Donald Trump, 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 Donald Trump. Like, the stuff that they've been willing to release is already super incriminating. What's the other half look like? Like, what's the other half look like? The other half is probably straight up like the pictures of them eating the children. Like, it's probably them, like, video upon video of them recording themselves doing these things. Like, that's probably what they are, right? I don't see any reason not to believe that. There's a reason why they're not releasing them. Like, if they were all just, like, Oh, I'm so super looking forward to seeing you again, Jeffrey. Oh wow, we had a great time at the resort. Well, make sure you bring the sausage, winky face. Like if they were all like that, then they just release all of them, right? They're not all like that. Chances are really good that the other half of the Epstein files that they haven't released is like extremely incriminating. Like I shouldn't say like straight up like shows them doing it. And we have every reason to believe that that's the case. Long Defiant writes, Reagan funded the Iran-Iraq war. George H.W. Bush, Iraq. George W. Bush, Iraq. Trump, Iran. Republicans always fight in West Asia. I mean, I don't know why we're letting Clinton and Obama off the hook. Like Clinton did Kosovo, and Obama did Libya. Like, in my view, Libya was the one that really broke. Was the straw that broke everybody the camel's back, right? Like. That was the one that I think made the entire rest of the world go, oh, we're just going straight back to like mafia, thuggish, gangsterism, imperialism. Like there's no rationale behind it except we want your shit. Like I think Libya was way worse than Iraq. Way worse, right? Like at least with Iraq, you're like, there's a big history here, and there's like a back and forth and a conversation, and there's this extremely large oil base, and there's this long-standing intelligence conversation going on that even Russia has been involved in at some point. So it's like, okay, we're all kind of dealing with this quagmire of our own creation that we also inherited and all this. And then you see them do Libya and you're just like, oh, you guys are just psychos. Like you guys are literally just like insane psychos. And that's Obama. Like they're a team. They work together. They're allies. They're besties. They're friends, right? Like the worst that they'll be is frenemies. That maybe they don't like each other personally, but boy, howdy do they do business. Hull writes, the end times evangelicals have to be the worst accelerationists. How sadly they align with Zionists, and they're powerful. Yeah, and I mean, they're releasing videos of them like dancing on TikTok, being like, I'm seeing this war in Iran, and it makes me so happy because it means Jesus is coming back. And you're like, okay. Like, the thing that I have finally reached, the place that I have finally reached with this Iran war is like, yeah, re-education camps make sense. Like, I get why we needed re-education camps now. I see it. Like, nope. I think that anybody standing up and saying and being opposed to re-education camps at this point, it's because they know that they're going to go there. Like, we need to take huge segments of the population and be like, okay, you go here now, and you're gonna learn about what it is to be a human, and what it is to be like on planet Earth and around. We'll see if you have a soul or not. Do you have the capacity to have empathy or not? Right? The answer is probably no for a lot of these guys. Like, I finally did sit down and watch. So there's this, here, I'll just bring it up on the Discord. There's this family who started a podcast, and the whole idea behind the podcast was they are, the mom and the dad are mega people, and the son and the daughter had basically abandoned them because they're obviously shit. I can't find the video. Okay, I'll just describe it. And And so the son basically says, okay, we can't just not talk to our parents. So what if we start a podcast with them to hash out these political things, and we'll put it out into the world? And it really caught fire, right? That people started really watching it. I think the name of the podcast is like The Uncomfortable Discussion or something like this. I'm being the worst storyteller in the world right now, but whatever. And you listen to the mega parents, and they have brain rot. Like their brains are rotten, and they're horrible people. Like they're just the worst. Like I wouldn't trust these people to take care of my dog for a night. Like I wouldn't give these people responsibility for anything. I would assume that they would betray me because they're just self-interested, self-righteous, self-entitled people who can't really be reasoned with, right? And I like listened to this podcast, and I like listened to they went on to Hassan Piker's show, and so I like listened to it, and listening to Hassan try to like negotiate and rationalize with these people, and just at the end of it, I'm just like, yeah, these people need to go to like re-education camps. Like they should not have power, they should not have wealth, they should not have assets. They should not have the ability to have influence in our society at all. These people are insane. And like, and if somebody stands in front of me and says, oh no, they have their freedom of speech and they have their, I'm going to be like, okay, there's a reason why Donald Trump's in charge and there's a reason why everything's gone to shit. Like there's a reason for it. And that's the reason. And I don't know, maybe that's a hardline view, but it's like, have you noticed that we've been taken over by serial killers and mass murderers? And have you noticed that it's the serial killers and the mass murderers that are screaming their head off about free speech? We should be allowed to do these things. It's our right. Maybe not. But what are we going to do about it? Like what are we going to do about it? Hull says the podcast where the son tells his father, quiet piggy. Yeah, the son's not that great either. Like, but I mean, the dad is just out of his mind. And you see like the ongoing, unfolding catastrophe that is America. And it is just going to be this absolute catastrophe that's coming into Canada, by the way. Like they're going to privatize the healthcare system. They're going to take over the social the social safety net. They're convincing everybody that things like the post office are supposed to be money makers, right? Nobody actually gives a shit about how government actually works. My favorite part about what happens is that when I start talking about things that we could do, people suddenly start acting as if the government is powerless to do these things. Like, hey, we could lower the rent. How are you going to do that? Well, the government doesn't have any power whatsoever to do these things. You're completely beholden to a class of narcissistic, child-raping psychopaths. Don't you know? And if you don't do what these psychopaths want, they'll leave. And they say that with like, they genuinely think that that's a real threat. They genuinely think I'm going to hear that and say, oh no! Oh no! You mean if we make everybody's lives better, the people who are making our lives worse will leave? Oh no! Joe Anthony writes, this whole everything needs to be a business capitalist crap needs to go. Well, and it's embarrassing because governments are obviously not businesses. And they can't be run like businesses. Like they literally can't be, you can't fire citizens. Right? Like you can't fire citizens. You can't like how's that work? Like businesses can't print money. Like Governments are strictly not businesses. They can't be businesses. They don't operate like businesses, nor will they ever operate, and they don't have the same responsibilities as businesses. And the idea that they should be, anybody who's going to stand up and actually say that out loud is essentially saying, don't listen to a word I ever have to say. I'm the dumbest person alive. Like, I don't understand basic concepts. I think that business is business. It's this is great. There's this great episode of Adventure Time that I strongly recommend. First of all, I recommend Adventure Time to everybody because I think it's actually genius. But there's this great episode where Finn and Jake unfreeze like a glacier, and inside the glacier are a bunch of guys in suits holding briefcases, and they talk like this, and they say things like, "We're here to do business. We like doing business." And at first, Finn and Jake are like, "Oh, these guys are great. They like come in and try to solve our problems." But at the end of the episode, these business guys need to be banished because the business guys will start to create problems in order to solve, because business, right? That if there isn't a problem, then we need to create a problem in order to solve the problem, because business. And that's basically America. Like, oh, everybody's sitting around and is happy and content and well-fed and everything's taken care of. Can't have that. You can't make money doing that. You need people to be discontent, and you need people to be unhappy. And so we need to make sure that these people are unhappy and discontented. And then we sell them the solution, right? You create the problem, sell the solution. And of course, creating the problem you do through taxation. So you work for me in the first place, and then we take your taxes, which is most of the money you make, in order to create problems, and then we sell you the solution to those problems. It's business. It's business. We have to nationalize the banks. Like, we have to nationalize the banks. We have to take the financial power away from these complete and total psychopaths, and actually say to them, you no longer have the ability to be involved in our political system at all. Period, full stop. That we should raise taxes over $1 million. I say over $100,000. I go that deep. I think that we should say that no single individual should have more wealth than $100,000, and we should tax the rest away, because these people are psychos. They've disconnected from reality in a way that is incredibly significant. But fine, I'll compromise and say $1 million. And so you take all of their wealth away, all of their assets away, nationalize all the banks, nationalize the food distribution chain, and actually start governing it. Like, wouldn't that be a peachy place to live? Wouldn't it be crazy to live in a place where we actually had governors, people who were actually governing things, people who were actually like, oh yeah, we should do stuff to help people out. Yeah, we should make sure prices are low. We should make sure housing is affordable and available. Like, I hate that we are so brainwashed by the system of capital that we say housing should be affordable. You know what housing should be? Available. Housing shouldn't be affordable. Housing should be available. You should be able to say, hi, I don't have a place to live. And there should be an entire institution whose job it is to give you a place to live. That should be its entire job. And of course, what you'll get is some capitalist neoliberal hack being like, well, then I'll just say I don't have a place to live, and then I'll get a free house. Cool, great, perfect. I hope you get one. I hope that happens for you. Like, it's amazing how often I'm having these conversations with people, and the expectation from so many people is that we should suffer. That suffering is good, actually, and that if you try to make a system where people don't suffer, then they'll just take advantage of it. And I'm like, yeah, I hope they do. Like, you're so brain rotted and so bought into this failed system that's doing everything it can to betray you that you somehow think that if we create a system that makes food and shelter and the basic necessities of life available, you somehow think that if people use it, that'll be bad. I hope they do. I hope they do. I don't get this. Like, what reality do we live in where we look at people who are happy and content and living peacefully and think we gotta ruin that? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with your brain that you think this way? Let people live and be happy. Who gives a shit? Well, I have to work my ass off. Why are you doing that then? Like, so it's a you problem. And because of the way the system is designed, you're just making your problems our problems. Hull writes, basically a loosh farm we're living in. Can't just chill for the sake of chilling without having the oxygen you breathe taxed. Yeah. They tax the sun if they could. Joe Anthony says, $1 million is more than enough, but they call it making everyone equally poor. Yeah, because they're stupid, right? Like, you actually listen to these slogans that they pitch at one another. The problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money. It's not, like, money doesn't exist in the first place, you dumb old hag. Like, money doesn't exist in the first place. You eventually run out of other people's money. Listen to how narcissistic that is. It puts the wealthy person at the center of the society. It ignores the fact that money is printed and created by the bank and distributed into the society, and actually pretends as though the person with the money is important somehow when they're not. And what are you talking about? Running out of other people's money. The government prints and maintains money, you stupid bitch. What are you talking about? It's a slogan that relies completely and 100% on the ignorance of the population. Which, congratulations, you got us. You pegged us. We got nailed. We've been hit. I mean, you can't blame them, right? Like, if I were a swindler and a con man, yeah, we're perfect marks. We're so easy to con, man. Like, we're not intelligent. We're super, super, super gullible people. And I think we like it. Like, I think there's a part of us that's just like, oh, I can't wait for somebody to swindle me. Then I'll feel like I'm alive, right? It's like how a gambler gambles not to win but to lose, because that's that feeling like that's actually life. Like, I'm really alive, right? I think that there's a lot of people out there who are like that. Ernst says, Elon Musk said that the downfall of humanity is empathy. What a a-hole. Yeah, I mean, like, who knew that a guy that funds a Nazi party and has, like, a weird, creepy Nazi app that everybody just tolerates for some reason, would think that empathy is the problem? Who knew? Fastened writes, don't kink shame, bro. Look, whatever you want to do on your own time, that's great. Knock yourself out. The issue is that once a person gets more than $1 million, they make their kink your kink. That you suddenly got to deal with their shit, right? And eventually they get to the point where they feel so powerful and so rich and so overwhelming that they think that they should be able to make their shit publicly acceptable. Right? They think they should be able to take that shit and be able to do it out on the street, and that everybody should just be like, oh yeah, this is normal. Yeah, it's normal for a guy to walk around in a dog mask. That's a normal thing that we should all definitely, like, if you want to do that, fine. Knock yourself out, right? Keep it out of the public eye. Keep it off the street. But once you have like $1,000 bagillion, you're the culture, baby. You can do whatever you want. Like, really wait. Like right now, the billionaires we have are uncreative losers, right? Like they're like Jeff Bezos is literally like, I want to get shot up into space. Wow, space rocket. Whoa. And to him, that's like the peak, right? Like imagine being so like absolutely disconnected from your base humanity that you genuinely think and like so lacking in awareness, self, and a place in history that you think the best experience you can have is going up real high. Oh, I went up real high. We were technically in space for a minute there. Ah, we were really high. Wait until we get like a billionaire who has like a sense of history, right? Like while also being a billionaire, so a psychopath, right? Like, so he actually understands that like, oh, like I'm going to die. And so there's going to be stuff that follows through. And so I should create a bunch of art. And so I should take my $100 billion and we'll take 10 billion of it, right? So 10% of it. And I'm going to fund a bunch of arts and we're going to have like an art movement, right? And because he's a narcissistic, psychopathic pedophile, he's a billionaire, his art is going to be just disgraceful, insane crap that we're all going to have to look at because he's paying for it, right? Wait for that shit to start happening more seriously. Wait for a billionaire to like walk into a city and be like, yeah, this street, I'd like to have like rows and rows of people hung. Just hang people down this street. We'll call this Ghoul Street. And they'll just completely defigure it and change it and make it grotesque. Ooh, Content writes, Qatar Energy got hit. Looks like we really are going all in. Yeah, dude. Like, there's no off-ramp, right? There's no exit strategy for any of this. We're not in a place where we can actually back down. Like, that's what makes it so comical and so ridiculous. Is that like, I mean, the only actual solution would have been to never pull the trigger in the first place. But now that we have, like, the end game on this is literally Iran blowing up any infrastructure connected to the Western Empire. Right? That's their stated objective. That's their stated goal. That's what they are going to do. And should the American empire start actually hitting Iranian energy, Iran will hit energy back. Like, the global economy is going down, guys. Like, it's going to go down. And like, things like this podcast, this stream here, YouTube, right? Like electricity. What makes this so hilarious is that for the last 40 years, China has been building up like a very significant renewable energy system, right? They've been going all in on solar. They've been finding alternative ways to fossil fuels to actually fuel their nations. And they're so far ahead of the game on that. Like, yes, they're still using coal. Yes, they're still using oil, but they're way ahead of everybody else when it comes to a transition to non-fossil fuel based energy sources. What are we going to do? Like, what's Europe going to do? What's Canada going to do? What's America going to do? And, like, this is the thing I keep saying over and over. Like, even if you're like, well, America has oil reserves for itself to last for a while now. And I was like, yeah, it runs out, you know. Like, it runs out. That's one of the defining characteristics of it, is that it runs out. We run out of it. What are we going to do about that? Our grandchildren will figure it out. Our grandchildren will figure it out. So we're just like washing our hands of it completely. We're just such huge losers who just are not interested at all in the most basic, like I think about that podcast about with the parents and the kids. Like, it's so clear that they don't give a shit about their own kids. Like, that the kids are the ones that are like, we got to actually talk to our parents. Like, we actually have to talk to these people. But, like, I completely understand why they stopped. Like, it's so obvious that their parents don't give a fuck about them. And that, to me, I've said it over and over on this podcast, on this stream, and I'll continue saying it probably until the day I die. The investigation that future generations are going to have and the question that they're going to be asking about the boomers is, how did they stop caring about their own children? What happened? What happened that made these people suddenly go, we have to fuck over our children as hard as possible. We have to completely disconnect from them. We have to utterly cut them off and make sure that we inflict the maximum amount of pain on them. How did that come to be? How was there this cultural force that occurred that drove a wedge between parents and their own children to such a degree? Like, and I understand, like, parents griping about children in like a Louis C.K. kind of way, right? Like our kids are so dumb and they're assholes and they cause like, that's normal, right? That's normal. And I understand, like, kids looking at their parents and being like, oh, you're so fucked up, and like there's this intergenerational conversation that is universal and that will never end, right? But what's happened between the boomers and like the millennials is another level. It's the next level of like, this isn't like kids these days. This is straight up, how do we carpet bomb this place? How do we lay waste to this place? Content writes, dude, yeah, he must have either faked his demise or actually did. Content, are you behind? I feel like you're behind. If you're talking about Netanyahu, I agree, my man. Bruh, I swear to God. I always love that name, dude. I think, unfortunately, average people need to feel the pain of consequences before they can finally see the right path forward. Yeah, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know about that. Like, I think that there's been a lot of consequences. Like, people, because we don't actually have serious conversations about the structure of the society and who has power, where power comes from. We don't actually have serious conversations about any of that. People are easy to funnel down. Like, why do you think there's a huge group of people that you can just be like, the Jews, it's the Jews, and a huge group of people will be like, it's the Jews. Like, you can just funnel people into just base misogyny, base, like, girls are the problem. Like if you live in a society where nobody actually grows up, and if you live in a society that doesn't actually attempt to take like a wider view or a larger view of itself, And if everybody's just has no awareness, everybody's just living in this sort of fight or flight mode, right? Everybody is just in fight or flight all the time. They're just constantly in this state of reaction, right? Because the world is so just like blaring at them constantly, and they're constantly in a state of threat and in a state of panic. You can direct those people and send them down these ridiculous corridors. Because to actually say to somebody, okay, we live in a large system, and that system exists and is made up of institutions and people, and like that's gotten so obvious that even like the conspiracy brain people are like, it's the deep state. Like they finally gave the society and the structure of the society a name, and they called it the deep state. It's like, it's just the state. Like, it's just a normal thing that exists. These set of institutions that exist to govern you. But everything needs to be said in these like hushed conspiratorial terms, as opposed to like, just read the Financial Post. Like, just read the Financial Times. Like literally pick up a newspaper and read it, and you'll be like, oh, they openly talk about this. Like, read the Economic Times. Read The Economist, right? And just understand that when you're reading The Economist, this is written for and by people who own assets, and you don't own assets. And just read it. And when you read it, you're like, oh yeah, okay. It's right in the open. Like it's been right in the open for like 250 years. Like it's never been a secret. They're just banking on the fact that you're never going to read that. Like that's what's so wild about the situation that we're in. Is that they discuss these things openly. You can read The Economist, you can read the Financial Times, you can read the Financial Post, you can read the business section of all of this stuff. And they say this shit right in the open. It's right in front of you. The only thing that they're not going to do is put together the very simple concept that we have assets and you don't. Right? And if you do start to clue in to that class dynamic, they'll say, oh, well, if you like the life of having assets, then just get assets. And that's their big solution for you, right? There's no conversation about like, wait, why does one person own the food distribution network in the society? That shouldn't be a thing, right? Like, somebody shouldn't own like the water supply, right? For very obvious, clear reasons. Like, it's so clear and obvious why that shouldn't be the case. Because if one person owns the water supply, then they can make demands of you, right? Like you pretend as though you live in this free society, and yet your entire life is owned by a group of child raping psychopaths that you work for. Like, that's what's crazy. And it's all right in front of you. But everybody is so disconnected from even the most basic self-awareness, sense of self, sense of themselves in history, or anything, that literally you can just be like, oh, the Jews, eh? And people will be like, yeah, those Jews are the problem. We should go get the Jews. That's it. Like, that's how this works. That's how it works. We're dumb. We're basically monkeys. And like, if I bet you anything that if we had like a universal translator, and we took the universal translator and we gave it to a group of gorillas, and the gorillas were talking to each other, I bet you it would sound exactly like a bunch of bros in a bar. I bet you it would be no different. I bet you the conversations would be exactly the same. It's just that, like, we figured out fire. That's it. We literally were the first group of monkeys to just be like, oh, fire. And that's it. And then if another group of monkeys was like, fire, right? And you gave them 100,000 years, they'd get to where we are. And they would have their own set of languages and their own culture and their own kind of stuff that they would believe is the greatest in the world. Because they're just a bunch of dumb monkeys like us. And so, yeah, they're going to feel the pain of the consequence, but all you're going to do is just, like, point at, like, some Muslim. And be like, oh, he's got a turban. And everybody's going to be like, oh, he's got a turban. He's obviously the one causing it. Like, take a look at the trans panic that's still ongoing. Take a look at that. I can't imagine a stupider position to hold. I can't imagine anybody. Like, I can imagine a person learning about a trans person and thinking and saying, I don't know about that. Boo, that seems weird to me. Right? Like, that, fine, right? I can connect and understand with that kind of bigotry and that kind of, like, little boy thinking, right? Like, I'm more creative and imaginative than creation is, clearly. But if I didn't imagine it, then it can't be real, right? Like, that kind of, like, low level, just like, what do you do, what? Like, sure. But to take that idea, that affects, to take that reality, the reality of trans people, that genuinely affects, like, 1% of the populace, probably less, and actually believe that this is a problem for you, and actually believe that this is something that should even be discussed nationally. Like, when you watch Tucker Carlson and he mentions it, do you think maybe it's because you're a dumbass? You ever think that the reason why he's saying it is not because he cares about it, but because he knows you care about it? For some reason? Like, even if it was the problem you claim it is, they're doing surgeries on children. They're doing surgeries on children, giving them drugs and making them all. The president of the United States of America is a child rapist. So even if this trans issue was exactly as you believe it is, one group is less than 1% of the populace, which means that the times that this happens is like this vanishingly narrow and infinitesimally small situation. And the other is currently invading several countries and destroying their infrastructure as well as the global economy. Like, we're gonna feel the pain of the consequences, all right, but it's gonna be like, and we completely deserve it. Like, we completely deserve it. Like, just like the basic idea of like, everyone needs food. We're throwing away half of our food. Give food to people who need food. Like, that basic idea is offensive to us. We deserve to be completely just like vaporized off the face of the planet. We're just a scourge on the earth. That if you're genuinely standing up in front of anybody and saying people don't deserve to eat, farewell. Enjoy your time in hell. Try not to create hell here while you're here, by the way. I know it'll be tough for you, but do your best. Bra says, I agree, so many distractions. I guess I mean that contradictions of capitalism need to be so poignant that there is only one viable alternative opinion or viewpoint of reality. Look, it's going to come down to exactly what happened in China. It's going to be exactly the same. Is that you're going to have a group of people who are going to say, maybe we should actually give a shit about one another, the communists. And then you're going to have other groups of people who are like, maybe we should be completely dominated by a hierarchy and give all power to the state, the fascists. And it's going to come down to those two groups, and they're going to shoot at one another. Like, that's what's going to happen. Because there exists in humanity two wolves. And the wolf you feed is the one that gets more powerful. And which wolf do you think we're currently feeding? Like, take a look at the billions of dollars they're, like, giving to Ben Shapiro. Like, this just loser hack little Zionist Nazi. They're giving this guy so much money that he's able to make, like, feature-length films that suck. Like, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like, Ben Shapiro and his Daily Wire group of Nazis are, like, the first thrust of the spear to actually create Nazi art, right? They're just bad. And eventually they'll find somebody who has no moral center at all, who is completely amoral, who is actually a brilliant artist, and they'll grab that person, and that person will actually make brilliant Nazi art. And they'll send it into the society, and they'll have a bunch of well-known, well-regarded actors, Zionists, there's a ton of them, in their Nazi art. And they'll send their Nazi art into the world, and a whole bunch of people who you would consider sort of apolitical or centrist will just get swept up in it and be like, wow, yeah, Homelander's the man. Like, that's common. Like, it's common, man, and it's gonna sweep through. Like, and they'll try to go after organizations like the Oscars, right? Like, you think these Zionists are looking at the Oscars being like Free Palestine, and they're thinking to themselves, yeah, we should let that continue? No. Misty Lane says, but what about the Rothschild? They can produce movies and have... What movies have the Rothschilds produced? The Rothschilds, I actually think their genius is their ability to remain in the shadows. Oh, I see, you're joking. Yeah, but I still think what I'm saying counts, which is that, like, our current billionaires are stupid morons, right? And they're stupid morons because they want everybody to know who they are, and they want to be famous, and they want mass adulation and love because their daddy refused to kiss them. Billionaires like the Thompsons and the Rothschilds, right? These guys are actually geniuses because they understand, like, no, like, we should not be known. Like, you should not know who we are. We should, if we do have an impact on society, it should be through channels, right? Like, we should have like a subgroup of a subgroup of a subgroup, and we can operate through a series of surrogates. It's like how the CIA did the Pollock movement, right? Like, the CIA didn't approach these artists and say, what was the name of that movement? Anyway, they didn't approach these artists and be like, hi, we're with the CIA, and we want you to produce art so that you can be a countervailing balance artistically to what the Soviet Union is producing. That's not what they did. They just created a surrogate organization that was like the International Artists of America, and they approached these artists and said, "Hey, we want to pay you $100,000 to do your art. What do you think?" And the artists were like, "Yeah, of course." And so they just did that, right? And the artists weren't connected to what the goal of the CIA was. The CIA wasn't informing them of what was going on. And I think there'll be a ton of that. Just artists producing Nazi art because that's just sort of what's in their spirit. Girls are icky. Yeah, the CEO of Nestle said that water isn't a human right. Yeah, I think Bill Burr nailed that guy. I think what Bill Burr said about that guy is exactly right. Not ironically. No irony whatsoever. Anemone says we should be more like bonobos and less like chimpanzees. I like the way you think, Anemone. I like the way you think. Vasen said the billionaires are desperately promoting anti-trans rhetoric to keep people angry and distracted. Yeah, of course. But like, I think what I'm trying to say is it's evidence that we are clearly in a hysteria and that we are not rational. That we're in fight or flight, that we're completely triggered, we're completely emotional, we're not living in a state of self-reflection or reasonable thought at all. Like 0%. Like no reflection, no self-analysis, no self-awareness, not even the thought that we should do these things. Right? Not even sitting there being like, I know I should, but like none of it. 0%. And the trans panic is, in my view, complete evidence of that, because it's just the anti-gay panic from the 90s reheated, right? It's just the same talking points, it's the same rhetoric, it's the same ideas. It's really quite boring. It's not creative, and it's kind of stupid. Like. And you listen to these guys like Matt Walsh, I think are just the stupidest people because they pretend like they're intelligent, but they play so dumb on this point. Like it's hard to understand what this is. It's not at all difficult. It's the easiest thing to understand whatsoever. Like if you can understand what a hermaphrodite is, you can understand what's going on here. Right? It's just, in my view, it's just an intersection between reality and their bigotry. And they don't like that, like, trans people are actually making decisions to improve their life. Everything went downhill when we domesticated grass. Yep. But now we live in a reality when most of us don't even know what reality is. Well, and we're not having serious conversations about it, right? We're not actually having serious conversations about it. Like we are sacrificing everything at the altar of profit. That the profit motive is the central religious ideology. Money. That's the only thing that matters is money. Right? So that's the reality that everybody is living. That if it's not making somebody money, then it doesn't make any sense. And if you start to actually talk about a reality where money is not important because it isn't, then you can just be dismissed. Just how you would, if you were a Christian, you would dismiss somebody who thinks Satan is good. Right? Because you live in this religious ideology. And the religious ideology of capitalism is ubiquitous. And I think that's what's important to understand, that that it's become the passive normal environment. To me, that's the most powerful and potent form of propaganda that exists. Right? The most powerful, potent propaganda is the propaganda that isn't propaganda. It's just what's persistent and what's real in your society. That if everybody says 1 + 1 = 3, and everybody just says that and understands that, then 1 plus 1 equals 3. And it isn't until you actually try to do something with that that reality will have something to say about it. But as long as you don't, which chances are good if you're a society walking around being 1 plus 1 equals 3, you're probably not doing much of anything. But it's the ubiquitousness of it. Everybody simply takes it for granted. And because people take it for granted, you can say all kinds of stuff. Like, to me, that's basically why when the billionaires say, if you do that, we'll just leave, why that threat is taken credibly by anybody, right? Because, oh, it's the prophets and they're the rich God king, right? Instead of the worthless parasite that they actually are. Right? Instead of being regarded as just this duplicitous, narcissistic, psychopathic child rapist who should be discarded from the society, and if they're going to do it willingly, then bye-bye. Like, as if they can take the land and take their assets and leave. Like, what are you talking about? Right? But we're so bought into this religious ideology, and we're so incapable of rational thinking that when the billionaire says, well, if you do that, we'll just leave, everybody goes, oh, as opposed to saying like, yeah, okay, bye. Like, goodbye. It's been like decades of me looking at that. Just being like, why they're telling you they're going to leave. Isn't that what we want? Isn't that what we're fighting for? Aren't we fighting for their expulsion from the society? I thought that's what we were fighting for. Like, and because we're so bought into the profit motive and because we're so bought into that, like, the real basic stuff has been forgotten. Like, everybody needs food. Everybody needs shelter. Right? Everybody needs access to healthcare. Everybody should be educated. Like, we should have a decent transit system. We should live in a society where there's clean air. Right? Everybody needs to breathe. Everybody should have access to the sun and water. Like, these are rudimentary, basic things that we don't need profit to receive. Like, there should be no profit motive incentive involved in that at all. Just 0% of it. But we've bought into this religious ideology. We've made money sacred and we've made the profit motive sacred. And so now it must be the guiding force for everything. And of course, if you're one of these psychopaths who is a billionaire, you of course want to populate that idea into the society. Right? You want people to worship you and believe that you're a god king. Yeah, but if we call the exterminator, the roaches will leave. Yeah, exactly. Blue Throat writes, I haven't seen this talked about much, but the SEC is about to get rid of the requirement for quarterly reporting. I mean, look, the Republicans talk about it all the time, and the Democrats basically believe it, which is that we want small government, right? Well, what's smaller than a king? Like, they are dismantling the federal government. And, like, eventually the federal government will just be this defunct group of, like, losers talking about stuff that's completely disconnected from reality. I mean, that's basically what they are right now. So, and it'll just be oligarchs doing whatever they want. And the federal government, the federated system, will simply not function. It won't even be a rubber stamp. Like, the billionaire class will simply do what they want to do. That maybe they'll hold an election to decide which billionaire should be the king billionaire, right? But at the end of the day, they'll just do what they want. Elaine says George Soros and the Rothschilds But what if I get attracted by one? No, but these people are really like that. I don't really understand your comments, Elaine. Sorry. I think that you're making comments in the moment, and now we're past the moment. And I appreciate that you're here, though. Joe writes, I'm trying to explain this to people. We need to transcend this profit above all mindset. I think many people understand this instinctively, but can't break through the conditioning. Yeah, people think money is real. Like, that it's air, water, food, and money. Like, that what would you do without the money? Oh, if we don't have the money, we're going to, what, go back to bartering? Oh, no, we need complex systems, and you need to have money. Like, do we? Is that really important? And to me, I think one of the most poisonous things that exists in the mindset of Westerners is that you got to earn it. To me, that's just deathly poison. That you got to earn food and shelter and water and air. Like, you've got to earn these things. No, you don't. Like, what's the point of having these complex systems at all if they're not going to actually deliver? Like, what's the point of withholding the land from everybody if they're not actually going to feed everybody? Like, unless you genuinely believe that slavery is good, which I think about 20 to 30% of the society actually does believe that, then, like, where are we at here? It's like the people who say minimum wage shouldn't pay your rent. It's like, well, then what the fuck is the point of a job? Like, what's the point of any of this? There's such a slavering fealty to this slavish fealty to billionaires and to wealth and to money that we refuse to actually be like, fuck these losers. Like, who cares at all what these guys have to say? They should not have assets at all. Like 0%. Hi from Russia. Good to see you, my man. Hope things are well. Misty writes, Jesus directly told us to worship money above all else. Yeah, exactly. It's easier for the camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for the poor to enter the kingdom of heaven. Like, no, Christianity is dead in this country. Like, there's no such thing as a Christian. Like, there's a lot of cosplayers. Misty Lane, that's what our society is, a bunch of billionaire roaches crawling over the food so none of the poor or working people can eat it. Ugh. What a gross. Ernst writes, I have heard this 2 times now. Ted Cruz says that if you're anti-capitalist, you're anti-Semitic, right? Like, they don't have to make sense anymore, right? They're not even trying to make sense anymore. Like, it's just idiocracy word buzz salad, right? If you know like capitalism, then you anti-Jew. Mm-hmm. And like, what are you saying there, Ted? Are you saying that if I'm against money, I must be against Jews? Who's the anti-Semite now? Yeah, pro-life my ass. Yeah. Look, we all know why these quote-unquote Christians are pro-life. It's so that they can rape children. Like, that's what we know that's what this is for. Like, we understand that. Misty Lane, we industrialized and then gathered all the food and sold it. But originally, you could just walk up to a tree, right? And eat fruit. Yep. Like, imagine. Imagine just being able to, like, we could have literally built gardens. Like, self-sustaining gardens that we all interact with. We build like a community around the idea of having these gardens. Like, instead of building infrastructure, instead of building interstates and cars and paving everything, right? Instead of that, we could have built gardens so that people could just walk into the garden and like get food. Just get it, right? And we could have made these like everywhere and made them completely ubiquitous and made them so available that people could just be like pluck, mump, plunk, mump. Right? We could have done that. Instead, we decided to pave everything so that we could get into World War II tank-sized trucks to be like, my cock isn't small. I'll show you, Bernice. Like, that's where the profit motive has taken us. That we have decided to tap into the bones of our ancestors and dredge them from the land, poisoning the soil while we do so that we can go fast. And go fast to do what? Exactly. Quickly do what? Oh, we could quickly blow up a whole bunch of children and send them to Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island and erect a concentration camp. Like, that's who we are. Yeah, go fast to work for a living. Like, what are you talking about? John 9529 says, I love your commentary. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Good opportunity to say like, share, subscribe. Give me money. I know I've been talking this whole time about how money is bullshit, but guess what? It's a bullshit system. Give me money. I can tell there's a person out in the world there who's doubtful about whether or not to contribute to the cause. And I tell you, I can tell you, your name is Ethel. Ethel Burgess from Missouri. Reach into your purse and pull out your checkbook and sign on the dotted line and send it to the address below. Yeah, we're all stuck in it. Doesn't mean we have to like it. Yeah, that's true. You say that you don't like money, and yet you need money to live. Curious. Oh my God, dude. One thing that I definitely do see happening, I know I've been railing about how stupid we are, but I've definitely been seeing, like, the newer generation of kids is definitely, like, looking at the Ben Shapiro types and all this, and they're immediately like, these guys are morons. Like, when I was growing up, there was a lot of, like, benefit of the doubt. And like, oh, we could have a conversation. But now people are looking at these guys being like, these guys are fucking morons. Like, I don't know why people are so upset about climate change. If the water comes up, people will just sell their houses. Sell them to who? Who are we selling those houses to? Wonk, 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 wonk. Yeah, because if you don't get to your job on time, you'll be fired. And your job is super important, too. Your job is super duper important. The thing that you do absolutely should be done. And, like, chances are good that if your job is actually important and absolutely should be done, it pays minimum wage. Chances are really good. And that, like, when COVID happened, right? There's a big COVID crisis, and everybody was like, oh my God, what's a panic? And also, who was the one group of people who were not permitted to stay home, who had to go to work? Oh, grocery store clerks. And what were they paid? Oh, minimum wage. Ernst writes, I have used your heading, capitalism is a death cult. Yeah, because it is. Like, it just is. And it's just getting more and more obvious as time goes forward. Like, capitalism is very obviously a death cult. It operates on three basic pillars, right? And I'm deadly serious about this. It is a religious mindset that has taken over, and nobody actually analyzes it as a religion. And so it's able to persist in the society as a religion unchallenged. And it's got three major pillars, which is A, the worship of money, right? Money is a real thing and we should burn down the earth to get it. It's the only measurement of value, right? It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how nice you are. It doesn't matter how much you help anybody. It doesn't matter what you do in the world. What matters is how much money you have, full stop. And it doesn't matter how dark and bleak and psychotic you are. If you have a lot of money, you're inherently virtuous. And you should be taken seriously and you're a good person. That's why the tax the rich movement is considered blasphemous to them, right? Because, you're trying to tax success. It's like, yes, we are trying to tax successful psychopaths. Absolutely, we're trying to tax successful psychopaths. We don't want successful psychopaths in the society. Thank you very much. The pillar 2 is the worship of the self, right? That I am the only thing that matters. There is nothing but me. You are all NPCs. I am a PC. The person that you really want to look to, who like really embraces this particular religious ideology, is Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary is the perfect avatar of the worship of the self. He calls himself Mr. Wonderful, for God's sakes. Like, no self-awareness, no empathy, no ability to understand what's going on outside of his own desire to attain wealth for himself. And the only reason you attain wealth for yourself is so that you can measure yourself against other people upon the hierarchy, right? Like, this is like Jordan Peterson stuff. Like, Peterson like laid it right out for you. And then the final pillar, the third pillar, is the worship of chaos. What they call the free market, right? They use this language, the invisible hand of the free market, right? Which they don't use in the Adam Smith way, because when Adam Smith used it, he very specifically said, yeah, if you unleash capitalism, it will restructure the society as if an invisible hand comes through for the worse, for the negative, and it won't be good. But these guys have grabbed it and said, like, oh, an invisible hand, the invisible hand of the market will guide us through. And it has to be the freer the market, the freer the people. So it's just the worship of chaos. The more chaotic things are, the better you are. And it's because if you have a lot of money, chaos will destroy people without money, and the people with money will weather it, right? And the only thing that matters is you. So you want to make things as chaotic as possible so that you can ascend the hierarchy. It's the ideology of a death cult. And the final form of the death cult is that because the only thing that matters is you, and they don't understand this intellectually, like they don't understand this rationally, because they are very much just caught up in this stupid, dumb monkey thought. But because they believe the only thing that matters is themselves, well, you live in a system that kills you, right? That if you're actually a sane, rational, empathetic human being, you understand that, like, yeah, we're all temporary and we have our time, and it's like a flower, right? Like you have the time of growing, the time of blooming, the time of shining, and the time of descent into death, right? And that's the life cycle of all things, and that we're all in that. And that's the beauty of humanity, is that we have these temporary, our whole life is like a single breath of air, right? And we and it keeps happening continuously, and that's how we evolve our societies and our cultures and build institutional power. And that's the beauty of the system that we're in, is that you might be an individual, but you're within a larger system. The death cultists reject that completely. That the only thing that matters is them and nothing else. 0% of anything else. You are an NPC. This place exists exclusively to be exploited for my benefit and for no other reason. Which means that if you are living in a system that kills you, right, and it does, it has 100% success rate at killing you, then your impulse is to kill it back, right? And so as the Donald Trumps of the world and as the Kevin O'Learys and as the Elon Musks of the world get to the moment of their death, thank Christ we get to watch that. Once they finally get to that moment, their impulse is going to be to lash out to destroy everything around them. It's a death cult, right? That in their sense of vengeance, they will seek the destruction of all life. Because go fuck yourself. PT writes, you'd be better I think you mean off, reading Michael Parenti to your quote-unquote audience than nonsense preaching. Who are you? Who cares what you think? Like, does it make you feel good to say these things? To embarrass yourself publicly like this? It's just like little child stuff. Like, yeah, go read Michael Parenti, by the way. Michael Parenti's really great. I actually really like Michael Parenti. I thought Michael Parenti had a really interesting take on Julius Caesar. And he was correct when he pointed out that Julius Caesar was the guy who created the foundation of the feudal system that emerged from the collapse of the Roman Empire. Right? That what emerged from the Roman Empire, Julius Caesar had a hand in that, and that's probably a big reason why he was assassinated. And it's interesting that we don't actually talk about that, right? That instead we're supposed to laud Julius Caesar because he was really good at murdering people and suppressing people, right? And also, like, Black Shirts and Reds. I think Black Shirts and Reds is mandatory reading if you want to be on the left at all. So... now, chances are good that this guy leaves, right? Like, it's what's embarrassing about these guys is they come in and they make their snide comment and then they leave, and I don't know why they do it. Like, is it to make themselves feel good for what? Like, you don't need to be here. That's the weirdest part. Like, you don't need to be here at all. And at the end of the day, who cares about you? Ernst Thalmann, there is no democracy in the workplace, and you spend most of your time there. Yeah. Like, that's a big thing that Richard Wolff really hits on, right? Like, every single corporate workplace is a fascist dictatorship. Like, all of them. And we're supposed to believe that we live in a free society. Like, what are you talking about? Like, for real, what are you talking about? I swear to God, Westerners are just like the most embarrassing people who have ever lived. Like, you actually call yourselves free people. Misty writes, don't you have somewhere to be, PT? As a capitalist, you should be doing something that makes money at all times. The fact that you are here under capitalism. Yeah. Freestyle Skate says, yes, Ernst, I find that when you explain to the average person that democracy doesn't exist at work, they get it pretty instantly. Good way to radicalize people, start with the economics. I don't know, I've met lots of people who are like, no, but they earned it. They earned it. Right? They earned the right to have a petty dictatorship. Like, there are certain things a person should not be able to earn. That to me is the big one. That's the point that we really need to confront. Right? That people think they earned it. It's like, okay, well, there are a lot of things that we don't accept that argument with. Right? Like, if Charles Manson stood up and said, Your Honor, you can't prosecute me for murdering all those people. I earned it. I worked really hard and I built something and we murdered those people. And if they didn't want to be murdered, they should have been smarter. We earned it. Right? Nobody would accept that. Nobody would accept that argument. Right? But that's basically what we're told to accept when it comes to the existence of these dictatorships in our society. That they earned it. Like, how is that relevant? Who gives a shit how hard they worked at it? Who gives a shit how much they schemed and who they bribed and what conversations they had? Who cares? I wouldn't accept if a serial killer said, but I earned it. I don't see why I should accept why some petty tyrant says it. Like, and it's the same when these guys say, oh, you just want to punish success. Like, yes, I would like to successfully punish petty tyrants and dictators. Yes, I don't want any successful psychopaths in my society. Absolutely. Che Prevera, which, by the way, that's a hilarious name, bro. Che Prevera. I love it. The funniest thing is to think that the free market is as natural as the laws of physics. Yeah, as if the free market isn't itself a manipulated thing, right? As if the quote unquote free market isn't completely manipulated by the Epstein class in order to just pump and dump people. They keep doing it. The rich people feelings line goes up and then down and then up and then down. What do you think they're doing? Right? What do you think crypto is? Like, it's just so obvious that they're building and manufacturing systems in order to like build a cage around you. And we have these dumbasses. I saw a picture. Yeah, this is the one. This is absolutely just nailing it as far as I'm concerned. Bro, if you just hustle more, you can be bound by these gold chains instead. Boom. I love it when somebody just makes a picture that just like captures it immediately. Where you're like, oh, yeah. Like, money is the chain, right? Money is the chain. Che continues, and to believe that crises happen because of an individual's mistakes and not because of a system that works cyclically. Yeah, again, this falls back on, this is why the worship of the self is so important. And it needs to be reinforced. Like, this was something I realized when it came to Jordan Peterson, and it was the moment where I realized that this guy's actually really dumb. That fundamentally, the argument of the hyper-individualist, right, the belief that you are the author of your own fate, the argument is that in a reality where you are completely randomly generated, your time, location, gender, health conditions, position in the society, your prosperity, the people you are born to, your race, are all completely randomly generated. Not to mention the institutions that were built before you got there, the history that happened before you got there, as well as the material conditions of the moment of your birth moving forward. Not to mention the fact that for the first at least 10 years of your life, you are utterly helpless, incapable of fighting or saying or doing anything or be taken seriously at all for at least 10 years, probably more like 20. That in a reality that is like that the most important thing, the most important variable is you. It's gotta be the most embarrassing thing that's ever said publicly. It's literally saying, I am more important than God. It's literally saying that. And most people believe it. Like, most people passively believe it. Right? That's not to say that most people are like, yes, rah, rah, yes, the self, me, right? It's that they passively believe that. That it's just ingrained inside of them and they see the world that way. That we all got educated by a school system, but we shouldn't have a conversation about that school system because the school system isn't what matters. It's not the hand you were played, it's how you play it. Like, it's not the cards you were dealt, it's how you play the hand. No, that's stupid. Right? Like, if you're playing against a guy who always has aces and you always have 7-2, you're going to lose. Like, every time. You're going to lose. Like, there's just so many things that are set. Like, I remember when I was growing up, I wish that I could, like, go back in time with the knowledge that I had now to be able to say to some of these guys, like, I remember people would actually say to me, because I would say, like, I would just be like a kid and I would be like, oh, we should actually, like, have, like, a collectively owned grocery store, something like that, right? And people would actually say, well, you can't have that because then no one would be able to compete with it. And that would be bad. And I remember as a kid being like, oh, I mean, I guess so. But now I'm like, yeah, who gives a shit about your stupid, dumb competition? Like, the statement capitalism breeds competition is an admission that we're in a fight with one another. That we're supposed to be fighting one another. As opposed to creating a system where we're all on the same page. And we're all working towards the same goals. Right? They just say out loud that their capitalist system can't compete with better models, first of all. That if you actually had like a nationalized healthcare system or a nationalized grocery chain, well, then capitalists won't be able to compete with that. Good. I hope they can't. Go away. I hope that these psychopathic child rapists can't compete, and I hope they all get ruined. Fantastic. What a great confirmation that I'm correct and that we should definitely do that. But also this just capitalism breeds competition. Because that's what you want. You want everybody fighting each other all the time. Great. They need to play Yu-Gi-Oh! With a non-meta deck. That's hilarious. Teaching politics through Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, it'd be better than Harry Potter, which is what we usually do. Jeez Louise. So, as we get into the last bit of this, let's hit some articles. The fallout from reporting on white nationalism in Canada. Journalist Rachel Gilmore published an investigation in the Tyee. The men she unmasked showed up to imitate her in person. These are Nazis, right? So there are people here in Canada that are reporting on the rising Nazism that exists in the country, which makes sense. It's what we fund, right? The way that we fund Nazism in this country is that we fund far-right groups in other countries, right? So the Nazis in Ukraine, and what'll happen is that those people will then immigrate to Canada, right? That's how we ended up with a bunch of Ukrainian Nazis post-World War II. There's a huge bunch of Nazis that came over to Canada. While we were blocking Jews from showing up, the Nazis came in, no problem. That's how we end up with a Nazi getting applauded at in Parliament under the Trudeau administration. And so there's a rising group of Nazis who we're funding, very clearly, unsurprisingly. And when you point out that they exist, they go and threaten the people who are doing the reporting. Yeah, did you see in Latvia they honored a 100-year-old Nazi who fought in World War II? Yeah, like, the West is so embarrassing. Like, we're so, like, opportunistic, right? We don't actually have any principles outside of just, like, money, me, good, right? Like, and destroying everything is completely fine. Misty Lane writes, you just got to play with the cards you're dealt. The cards, level 3 vanilla monster baby dragon. Yeah. You know, I am really actually, like, I've been seeing this same article. Can we start getting articles that are about, like, specifically what we should do to these people? Like, the answer at this point is always just taxes. And I'm like, nah, we should be jailing these guys. Like, these guys should experience significant jail time. We should not be, like, because when I read these articles, it's pretty clear that they're like, well, if we raise a 0.2% tax over 10 years, that'll take $3 billion that we can. And I'm literally like, we should tax them at 100% and take all their assets away from them. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we playing this dickering game where we're pretending like we should negotiate with these guys? Capitalism uses racism to divide the working class. Yeah. Like, capitalism will use anything it can to divide the working class. It'll use misogyny, right? It'll use every single angle it can. It'll divide you generationally. It'll divide you by race. It'll divide you by gender. It'll divide you by class. It'll divide you by whether or not you like Star Wars or Star Trek. It'll divide you however it needs. It'll divide you however it needs to divide you. As long as you're fighting each other. Oh yeah, good old Trump. Trump says he can do anything he wants with Cuba. Wouldn't that just be like the icing on the cake? Just a full-scale invasion of Cuba. Like, they've already cut Cuba off from fuel, right? Cuba's already past the point of no return with this, that they can't actually get fuel because the sanctions are so bad. Yeah, the USA is just an open-air gulag. Well, look, take a look at the Gaza Strip, right? That's the plan. Zelensky even admitted it, that his plan for the Donbass region was to turn it into a Gaza. Like, what they're doing in Israel is the plan. That's how they intend on governing everybody. Like, take a look how ICE operates. Like, ICE literally, like, kicks in people's doors. Well, did I bring this story up? I don't think I did. But there's a story out there where ICE agents, they're impregnating teens, obviously raping teens, and then separating the girls and sending them to their own facility. What do you think they're doing? And like, all of this stuff and all of these stories, what it does is it entrenches in the mind of the Muslim world that the West is the great Satan, right? That, to use it in those religious terms. And it's like pretty tough to argue against, you know? Like, it's pretty tough to mount an argument that says, no, we're not Satan. Like, you know, sure we have institutionalized child rape, but that's not evil. Borg writes, big problem is that 95% of the lower and middle classes are envious of the Epstein class, even so-called liberals. I don't think it's as high as 95%, but it's definitely like at least 20. Yep. Misty, they want us to have children so they can supply Epstein Island and have more cogs in the machine. Yeah. Andrea, good to see you. A climate of war in the Gulf is causing U.S. companies to increase Petro Monarchy's orders. Lockheed Martin, Gunthrop Gundram, and L3 Harris will increase the volume of their Arab orders. The thing is that it just can't continue, right? Like, it just can't go forever. That eventually people just stop interacting with the American state. And their stocks will rise, as will the price of oil. The big three, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, are the main shareholders of the arms and oil industry. In return, the super funds will continue to buy U.S. debt, of which they already hold about 40%. This year, $10 trillion in USA debt matures. Yeah, we've already we've all stopped having babies and working. Yeah. Like, all that we can do at this point is to stop participating. Right? That's all that we can do, is to stop participating. There's nothing else that we can really do. Like, you can go protest, and we should surround the halls of power, and we should do all of this. But really, the number one thing that everybody should be doing is stop participating. And, like, the military requires our participation. Stop participating. Andrew says, I think the big three are gaining a lot of money from oil prices rising, but after that, the stocks will collapse when the recession hits. I mean, we're already in a fairly substantial recession. Like, we're already in a fairly substantial depression, frankly. Like, the moment you stop paying attention to the world through the rich people feelings chart, which is the stock market, and you actually start paying attention to, like, hey, what's the average lived experience of the average citizen? You realize pretty fast, like, this is definitely a depression. Like, people can't afford rent. They can't afford food. Like, they can't afford what's going on. Like, the only reason we don't accept that we're already in a depression is because it's not reported that way. That the information distribution system has been captured by the very people who are waging these wars and going to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Like, why would they ever say that this is a depression when it very clearly is? At this point, there's no way out for the average person. Yeah. No, it's been a depression. We've only regressed since 2008. Yeah. 2008 was the moment capitalism died, and neo-feudalism or techno-feudalism or corporal feudalism, whatever word you'd like to use, has come in. It's a feudalistic society. Like, this isn't capitalism anymore. Not the economic system of capital. Like, that's what's important to understand, right? We don't live in an economic capitalist system. We live in a religious capitalist system. That it's the religious worldview of capitalism, but it's a feudal structure. And the feudal lords that own you interact with the electoral system to negotiate with each other. And so there's this ideological layer, this religion of capitalism, that is the primary ideology that we all follow. But economically, it's a feudal system. And that you operate in a feudal structure. Andrea says, yeah, Varoufakis calls it techno-feudalism with cowed capital as new feature. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things you could call it. And I understand what Varoufakis is trying to do. He's trying to, like, break through people's minds to, like, give a language to what they're experiencing. But it's not new, right? He's calling it, like, neo-feudalism or corporate feudalism or techno-feudalism or other. It's just feudalism. Like, it's just feudalism. It's not a new system. When capitalist systems regress, they regress back to feudalism. And so that's where we're at. And it's a feudal structure. And as that feudal structure entrenches and becomes more entrenched, as it entrenches, it'll just become more obvious that that's the case. Like, I think one of the things that's really important for people to understand is, like, people who lived under the reign of Queen Victoria, like the average peasant, wasn't really aware of how the structure of the monarchy looked. Like, they didn't understand what the structure looked like. That they only live in their little village, and they only live in their little town, or maybe they live in the city. So the most important politician to them would be the mayor, right? And maybe they would hear tale of some king or something, but they're like, what's a fucking king? Who cares? Like, there isn't a wider view that's understood or expressed by the public. And so you have, like, everybody's still, like, this is why the tech bros and the grind set bros still talk the way they talk, right? It's because they actually think that there is, like, this, if we just hustle, we'll get out of it. Like, probably not, bro. Like, yeah, you'll have your golden chains. Borg writes, AI will accelerate a collapse. So I am of the opinion that AI is completely and 100% a red herring. I think that it is what it is. Like, if we were to discuss AI as a technology honestly, I would be like, oh, that's an interesting, like, next level of the technology that currently exists, right? It's essentially just a quick search function. Like, if you have a specific question, you can ask the AI and it'll bring up the kind of thing. It's wrong most of the time, so it's badly developed. But but there are uses for it, and there are, like, use cases for it. So it's interesting, but it isn't capable of actually doing your job. Like, it's not actually capable of doing that. And so what I think they're doing is they've developed this technology, AI, which does have, yeah, it's a more advanced Cleverbot. Y'all remember Cleverbot? Yeah, that's a good way of saying it, actually. Like, so it's not to say that it's useless, but so what they're going to do is they're going to say, oh, we're going to lay off 100,000 people, or we're going to shut this down, or we're going to do this kind of stuff because we found a more efficient way of doing it, which is AI, which is bullshit. They just don't want to do it anymore because it's no longer profitable. And instead of just saying that, instead of just saying, yeah, we have hundreds of billions of dollars and we don't care if you have this service anymore, so we're just not going to deliver the service anymore. We've extracted as much wealth as we can out of you, so we don't need you anymore, right? That in fact, the wealth we're paying you to do the job is wealth we'd rather have back. And so we're just going to keep that for ourselves, cut you off, throw you overboard, and abandon you, right? Because that's the strategy now. It's extraction and abandonment. Well, they can't just say that. They can't just say, okay, we've extracted as much wealth as we can out of you. Now it's time to abandon you. Goodbye. Pleasure doing business. So what they're going to do is they're going to scapegoat AI. They're building a scapegoat. And they're going to say, oh no, it's not that we've abandoned everybody, and it's not that we're no longer delivering the service. It's that we have found a more efficient and profitable way of doing it. And if you can't get access to the service, well, then that's a you problem, right? So it's a scapegoat as far as I'm concerned, because from a just like AI as a tool kind of thing, like I'll use it for specific things. Like if I need a brainstorming, like for example, just today, hey, I've got a cucumber, some pears, some lettuce, some lentils. Like what can I make with this? I just need some brainstorming ideas, right? And it'll spit out a couple of ideas, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. And then from there, I can kind of take it and go my own way, right? And do what I think is right. But like, the idea that it's going to take your job, it can't do your job. It can't do any of these jobs. Right? So what makes you think it's actually going to do that? It can't do it. So it's obviously a scapegoat. Yeah, it's spell check AI has existed since 1990s. Look, there was a study. I really should go find this study again because it was really fascinating, and I forget where it came out of, if it was like Harvard or Oxford. But they did a study of these AI systems, and what they found is that the AI systems can't solve problems. They would give these AI systems very basic, like grade school level logic puzzles, right? Like, you've got a chicken, a fox, and yourself on one side of a river. Only 2 people can go into a boat at any one time. The fox and the chicken can never be left alone together. How do you cross the river and get all 3 onto the same side? Right? That's a very basic logic puzzle that you give to grade schoolers to puzzle out. Well, if you give this to AI, it can't solve it. 0% success rate. Even worse than that, if you give the AI the solution to the puzzle, if you give them the puzzle and then show them the solution, it still can't solve the problem. That means that it literally can't do a job. That the whole pitch of AI is that it's going to solve problems, right? That if it doesn't solve problems, then it's no different than just like an automated arm. It's just like, do the task, do the task, do the task. Well, AI has the promise of problem to solve, problem to solve, problem found, problem solved. Do the task. Well, it can't solve the problem. It doesn't know how. And so what I think I'm really trying to get into the mind of people is that it turns out the same people who are willing to go to Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island and rape children and drop bombs on defenseless girls' schools are also willing to lie to you. Like this is the thing that I'm just like consistently and constantly blown away by. That we see how they're fraudulent liars. We see how they're stupid. We see how they're deceptive. We see how evil they are. We see it. And then they come out and say something to us and we believe them. And I'm really trying to get into people's minds that we should stop that. We should definitely stop believing them when they make any claim about anything. That if there is a person with $1 million saying anything to you, you should not believe what they say. Overmad, first-time chatter over on Twitch with a powerful meow. Good to see you, my man. Elaney says, it's not even feudalism. Remember the company towns in the 1900s? Of course you don't. You were not alive. But you might have learned about them. Yeah, the company towns. I actually play a song about... here, I'm just going to play that song. It's been a while since I played a song on stream. This is a song about the company towns. Some people say a man. Some people say a man is made out of mud. Well, a poor man's made of muscle and blood. muscle and blood and skin and bone, and a mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. If you see me coming, step aside. A lot of men didn't and a lot of men died. I got one fist of iron, the other's of steel. The right one don't get you, the left one will. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Poor man's there to suffer and bleed, to pay for a rich man's wealth and greed. Take this here shovel, get down in that earth. The money you're making, that's all that you're worth. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul. Oh, you load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Yeah, the company towns. The idea that a single person should be able to own the food, the shelter, as well as pay you your wage. And lo and behold, the wage they pay you doesn't actually pay for the food or the shelter. And so what do you think happens? Content, yeah, I said some really funny stuff. I got erased. I'm sorry about that, my man. The YouTube censorship is just ridiculous. Vasen says, love this. You're really talented. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you. I try. Well, on that note, guys, it is a bit early, but I think I'm going to wrap up for the day. Thank you for being here. God bless each and every one of you. I know that we are witnessing the end of days. And the Lord Jesus Christ will come down upon us and spread goodness into the world, and it'll be great. You know what's so funny about these Christian fundamentalists and their whole Jesus will come back thing? It's like, how arrogant can you be to believe that Jesus is going to come back and he's going to like you? If I were a Christian, the very last thing I would want is Jesus to come back. You should be on rockier, you should be on softer footing. Anyway, always remember, guys, each and every one of you is a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the hopes you'll never realize it. You'll just stay the good little commodity they need you to be. Rebel. Revolt. Repent. Good luck. We're going to need it.